Hello, everyone. This is my first ever music review. This is my review of one of my favorite albums of all time. This is Eminem's Marshall Mathers LP. This album was released in 2000, just exactly 2000, and it's an hour 12 minutes long. It's arguably one of the best albums I've ever heard, as I've probably already said. So I'm just gonna get right into this. Um, so the first track is it's an interlude into Kill You, which is very controversial, and it was very controversial when it came out. Um, you have songs like Stan, where it's like amazing storytelling between an obsessed fan and Eminem himself, rewriting letters to each other. Stan ultimately sending a VHS tape to M, and Who Knew, which is the fourth track on this album, technically speaking. It feels like a continuation from Stan, with Eminem talking about some of the topics that were in that track, with songs like "I Never Knew Why I Would Get This Big." I would never knew why. I never told him to slit his wrists or all that. And then we have "The Way I Am," which is arguably one of the most like well known songs on this album, along with Stan and the Real Slim Shady, um, which is all about just all the publicity he's been getting. And with all of this publicity he's been getting from like singles like the Real Slim Shady and all that, it he just feels a bit paranoid. So now we're moving on the track, the Real Slim Shady, which is like his like third ever most popular song. It's a crazy popular track. Okay, and this track, it's um, it's a very simple like way of production with a very great chorus. Um, it's so like just all those lyrics, right? And it arguably goes into one of the most like mid-ish songs of the album, which is "Remember Me," which still has some great lyricism, but it still feels, I would say, it just feels a bit dry. The production and like the transition between "Remember Me" and "I'm Back," which is the next track on the album, is arguably amazing. It's amazing, right? "I'm Back" has some amazing lyricism, which has is very similar to rap, which some of the lyrics are very similar to "Rap God" in the Marshall Mathers LP 2. And with all that said, I'm gonna mention my favorite song on the album, which is "Bitch Please 2." Um, this song has Nate Dogg, Exhibit, Snoop Dogg, Dr. Dre. It has like four verses or something, and the best part of it is obviously Eminem's verse with his flow, like the opening to that with the "Give me the mic, let me recite to Timothy White's." That gave me like chills. It just has such an amazing flow, especially with that beat. And with that beat, he has just it feels like, I'm just trying to think of the words to describe this. It feels like a way he's um I'm just trying to think of words to describe this. It feels um it gives off heavy Dr. Dre vibes, which the track may have been produced by. Keep on forgetting that part. And with all that, that song "Bitch Please 2" leads into "Kim," which I think is the worst song of the album. With mentions of self harm, well, not self harm, I don't think, and just hurting his partner. It's a dark song and took a very mental toll on his wife or ex-wife's mental health, and it really, really hurt her. And this is one of the only Eminem tracks I would ever call unacceptable. Like it just it's just not like good. Like I tried when I first listened to this album when I was 13 or 14, like 14 and a half, okay? So like 1.5 years ago. And I almost like I almost like started welling up in tears. Like it was a bit too much, so I had to skip the track. So I've only listened to this track once, which was like kind of in the background, but I know the topic around the song. And it may be like it's I think it's Eminem's worst song out of all of his discography. It's worse than Fact. It's worse than any other song. And coming in with the like top of controversial lyrics, we had it was Amityville, where we had Bizarre from D12 saying some very very rather uncool things about some very very just very very sensitive topics. So that was a very very like that was a turning point. Like when I like started listening to the lyrics properly after like this is like a second listen kind of. And that goes into um that goes into Under the Influence, which is a pretty silly song with the translation in the very beginning, like that. Nah, 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 nah. So having that is pretty silly. And then the outro, it's the song Criminal, where it's about like what people think of him in the sense that I get. Like in the very beginning, some people think I do all these things that I rap about and all that. And though it has some very, very controversial lyrics, this song is very, very enjoyable to a casual listener who I think can just only absorb like non crazy things in music, like can just enjoy the song by its beat and all of that. So with that, that is my first ever album review. So for this project, I am feeling a 9.5 out of 10. This is like one of my go-to hip hop albums whenever I'm like just at work like and just need some background noise, or I'm like fully like laying in bed and like just chilling and vibing to like this album and the tracks. So having that having this album like come out, it was a very very revolutionary point, obviously, with this being a sophomore album and his debut being the Slim Shady LP. Um, this is a very very kind of turning point in hip hop, I would say, from what I understand. So yeah, that's gonna conclude my music review of the Marshall Mathers LP by Eminem. I will see you guys all in my next music review, which hopefully will be soon. And I'll cover some more of Eminem's discography, but also some more underground hip hop artists like MF Doom. And I'll also be doing a bit of Kendrick Lamar, which is also another one of my favorite artists. So yeah, I will have a great day, and I hope you guys do too.